Good evening and greetings from Barbados. My name is Chereda Grannum, and it is both my honor and pleasure to participate in the fourth annual Inter-American Week of Activities for People of African Descent, and to offer remarks in my capacity as a United Nations Fellow for the International Decade for People of African Descent. On September 8, 2001, world leaders and civil society actors convened at the World Conference Against Racism in Durban, South Africa. And for the first time in history, at the highest multilateral level, it was formally acknowledged that slavery and the slave trade are crimes against humanity and should always have been so, in particular, the transatlantic slave trade. Now, this acknowledgement triggered many long overdue conversations and actions in the international community. And the Durban Declaration and Programme of Action is perhaps one of the most seminal human rights instruments to be introduced as a result. The promotion and protection of human rights of people of African descent was brought to the fore and continues to be a matter of priority for the United Nations and multilateral organizations such as the Organization of American States. However, in spite of many advances, people of African descent still face overt and systemic racial intolerance and must confront the repeating historical patterns of inequality and disenfranchisement. There are over 200 million people of African descent living in the Americas, many of whom continue to suffer the consequences of the horrible legacy of transatlantic slavery even today. Now, I want to be clear that commemorations such as the International Decade for People of African Descent and the Inter-American Week for People of African Descent by no means place a timeline on the fight against racial intolerance, because this work must never stop. Quite frankly, it is no longer enough to sit passively on the sidelines and declare oneself as not racist. We must all adopt an anti-racism stance towards dismantling the systems of oppression that so many of our societies have been built on. It is my opinion that the greatest contribution people of African descent have made to the world is to demonstrate an enduring humanity, even in the face of the most violent and dehumanizing acts. Our call has not been to implement the racial supremacy we are still forced to combat. In fact, our call is simply to make wrong things right and to usher in a future free of racial intolerance and with equality for all. As I close, I want to commend the OAS on the level of youth participation in the week's past and upcoming events. There is no conversation about the future that is worth having without the input and participation of our youth, particularly this conversation about racial equality, justice, recognition, and development. The power of young people to popularize movements and bring about paradigm shifts has been seen, heard, and felt globally. It is undeniable. The precious gains we have fought so hard to achieve are always under threat of reversal. So let's play our respective parts, whether it's at the international, state, civil sector, or individual level, to learn from the lessons of our difficult past and to ensure a future that is premised on fairness, justice, and equality for all. I thank you, and please do enjoy the rest of this week's activities.